This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
To She Wasn't Born Yesterday for women who are 40 plus fabulous by the Empty Nest Chicks. I'm Janet Evans, ex-M&T Saatchi advertising creative who have won numerous radio and TV awards. Not that that'll affect us because we're doing a podcast.
And I'm Dr Amelia Haines, who has been a medical doctor for 30 years and specialising in sexual health and mental health and relationships, and I'm generally a very useful human being.
Well, we'll find out about that, but we are here to work together.
People tell me on good authority that I am.
Really? Yes, well, they never say that to me, so I think we're the perfect hosts for She Wasn't Born Yesterday. Dr Amelia, today we are going to talk about ageing.
Yes,
and
our favourite topic.
Our favourite topic, because we are women who are 40 plus fabulous.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to that age, you realise
the rubber has hit the road.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're not using a rubber anymore. Because you don't have to. Because, look, okay. Well, let's keep it on track here. Let's keep it on the road.
Keep it clean.
Oh, come on. Okay. Ageing and growing older. I mean, it's a pretty scary thought, actually.
It's a scary phrase.
And you kind of get to that point, I think, like when you're in your 20s, you don't think about anything about, you just think you're going to live forever, you're bulletproof, it's all of that.
Yeah.
You hit a certain age and you realise, oh, wow, actually.
I am going to die.
I know. And some of your friends might have actually passed away and you kind of think, geez, it does kind of, it is a bit of a wake-up call, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
But I plan to age disgracefully, and I hope you are too.
No, I'm going to age very, very gracefully.
Oh, I don't believe that. Not even for a second. But I wonder if there is actually a way to ensure that we can live a little bit longer.
I think there are people we can talk to.
I think there's someone.
I'm sure it's not going to be huge because everyone is going to die, but wouldn't it be interesting to know if there are things that we can do that will just push that day on a little bit?
Yeah, even by half an hour or so.
Yeah.
Which is the length of time we plan to be talking to our next guest.
It is indeed.
And he is amazing. He's wonderful. He is Dr Naras Lapsys. And you are a longevity expert. We are talking to the right person about the right topic.
We are.
And so, Naras, welcome to our podcast.
Hi, I'm very happy to be talking to you about my favourite topic today.
Awesome. It's his favourite topic.
Why is it your favourite topic? Tell us a bit about you.
I think it's my favourite topic because I think that everything that I've done or I've ever been interested in has finally reached a point where it has a label. And that this concept of longevity medicine or healthy longevity is finally hit box office. So 10 years ago, it was something that nobody even thought about, certainly not in Western philosophies. But if you open up Netflix right now, you're going to be bombarded by live to 100 and you're going to have the blue zones and we know about it now. And so I have been sniffing away, plodding away in the background
If anyone could see Naras, he never plods. You can tell he never plods.
I don't think he would sniff either.
Anyway, carry on.
Keep going.
Yes, so it really has been an interest of mine, even in a sense when I didn't even know it. But that's where everything has been steering to this date. And look, it's still early days, but we're starting to understand an awful lot more. And I think for the people that are interested, it's going to be an interesting ride for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And if we can all hang on and be healthy for as long as we can, we might be experiencing the fruits of the labour of what's happening in this incredible field.
So you mean the field as in researching into what are the things that can help us live a bit longer?
Absolutely. So there's two, I think, things that are important to talk about. One is a concept called health span, and another concept which is lifespan, right? So we are all going to succumb at some point and the candle is going to go out. But what are the 5 or 10 or 15 years preceding that? You said yourself you were going to die ungracefully versus gracefully, right? Does that ungracefully mean that you live your last 10 or 15 years with a chronic health condition that is impeding the quality of life, i.e. your health span is highly compromised? Or are you going to be living fabulous and health-free, like disease-free or minimized, and you're doing the things that you like, right? Which might not necessarily be what I want to do, which is still being able to spar my 30-year-old kickboxing trainer and put him on his bum versus somebody who says, I would like to be able to be reading the books that I love or still playing the piano and not being arthritic and only thinking about playing the piano.
And still maybe dancing.
Or dancing or being immersed with my great-grandchildren and being able to get off the floor and not saying, oh, there's old granddad stuck on the floor again, rolling around with his 4-year-old grandchild, right? So it's what quality do I want, right?
Yes.
And that's the health span side of it. I'm interested in, and the world of longevity medicine is interested in increasing your health span.
Yes.
And decreasing the time of your life where you are, submitting to chronic health conditions and your quality of life falls. And if that means you live some more good years, that's wonderful. But to live more bad years would be horrendous.
I mean, at this point, I feel like I need to intercede as someone with a chronic debilitating disease and say, obviously, I should just leave the podcast now and not do any of these things because I don't want to live like making people roll me over. But anyway, that's for another podcast, guys. We must talk to people like me. Let's think about people being healthy. Yes. My brain's in the game.
But what longevity medicine? What do you actually mean by that?
So longevity medicine actually is a new branch of medicine that is building in its legitimacy and actually being a form of medicine. Very recently, there's been now identified, there is what's called the Healthy Longevity Medicine Society, and that is, again, firming this down. The concept of longevity and studying and researching longevity has been 40, 50 years at least. There's a type of medicine, gerontology, right, which is the study of aging. So it's already been there. There is going to be degree courses for medical professionals to do their specialization in healthy longevity medicine.
We're going to have professors of longevity, that kind of idea.
Correct. So it's now becoming an actual subsection of medicine, a specialty of medicine per se. And then with that comes science and evidence base. You need to have a certain level of a place to stand and to sit. It's, you don't want to just be a cowboy in this field.
No.
So these are the things that are really important. And there's a mission. I think it's a really nice way to start it. Healthy longevity medicine is optimizing health span by targeting the aging process across the lifespan.
Okay.
So this tells us something. We're starting to understand the processes of aging, which is different from the development of chronic diseases because we're starting to understand the actual causes of aging. There's lots of them, right? But because we're starting to understand it, can you measure it? And if you can measure it, can you change it? And so that's an important concept. And my last one is the idea of thinking differently about our age, our chronological age, which we can't do anything about. You are always going to be 1 year older at your next birthday party. But what is my biological age? Okay, so our biological age is different. You could go to your next reunion and be with your classmates from high school graduation or university graduation and look around the room. It's not going to take $10,000 worth of genetic tests to see that some of them are looking like they're aging a little bit better or worse than others.
Naras, yes.
There's a lot to be said
How
for
true.
cosmetic surgery, I reckon.
So is everybody in the room aging at the same rate? And the answer is no.
You can tell by looking that they're not.
That's
absolutely
really
you can.
interesting, because the other thing that I find too is that psychologically some people act really old when they're kind of 40, and other people who are 80 just seem to have just such a great mind and such an interest in everything. And so mentally it feels like it plays a really huge part too. Okay. Is that right?
Let me tell you something. I just think it's fascinating. If you ask somebody how old they feel,
right.
and you do this as a scientific study, and then you do whatever markers that we have on their biological age, and we don't have fabulous markers for it, but we certainly have markers lending towards it. When people say they feel younger, quite often biologically, to the extent that we can measure it, they are younger.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you've just said has got some real truth to it. So it's not just the bags under your eyes that are telling you a story, it's how you feel. Actually, it really is. It really is that too.
It's what you put in those bags.
Yeah.
Is it Prada or Gucci?
Yeah. So I was going to say, all of this is interesting, and of course, like you've already said, it's not in its infancy per se, but it is still kind of in primary school, like the whole study of longevity, and like it's such an emergent, interesting area, mentally, physically, everything.
But why is it just recent, like fairly recently? Like, why wouldn't this have been a fascination of people?
Technology's been our friend, hasn't it, Naras?
Technology, so there's lots of reasons. So one part is the cost of doing certain types of research has dropped dramatically, just because of how rapidly technology changes and shifts. So we've had massive changes in technology and understanding. The research has gotten to a point where there were certain things that became very interesting. So then that sparks the interest of people who want to start looking and hacking and making changes. Then there's also been some breakthroughs in science that got the attention of the media, and certain authors and certain books became sensations, right? And so then that sort of sparked more interest. And then with that came a lot of funding. There's lots of different points that have come into play here. And as a result, it's on everybody's lips.
Yeah, it's true. You know what I think we want to know from Naras is we want to know your 5 or however many jumps to mind top tips for staying younger. I read one of those big mega books, and one of the things that sticks in my brain is there was a lot of emphasis on ice baths and that kind of thing, which horrifies me because really no. But let's find out from Naras, because he's got a lot more technical knowledge than either of us has. What are the big things that you actually are even bothering to do?
Yeah. Again, a lot of this carries over with things that we've already, in a sense, inherently known about what is it that you need to do to live and to be healthy. It does come back to that as well.
Yeah.
And then looking at what can anybody ever do, right? What can any of us ever do? So we can take medications to address health conditions.
Sure.
And you could label aging as a health condition now.
Sure.
So that's one way to look at it. So you can look at it from a pharmaceutical perspective. You can look at it from all these interesting new molecules that are finding their way through research into the consumer world, and things like NMN and urolithin A and AKG, and so all of these interesting compounds. There's the types of supplements that people choose to take. There is the types of eating patterns that might actually be not the eating pattern that's going to make you the skinny mini, but it might be the eating pattern that is the healthiest for you. And it might be the type of exercise that you now need to do at your current stage of your life, and what is it that you're needing to do to have a healthier, a health span. It's going to be how much has my sleep impacted me over the course of my lifetime, and what's my sleep like at the moment? So these are things that we've all heard of before, but it's going to be, how nuanced is it going to be? Are you going to layer on top your genetic fingerprint and say every one of us has a slightly different gene profile? To what extent does that have an implication on all of the things that we do? But we can dig into all of these different aspects and say, if I'm interested in living healthier longer, to what extent am I going to investigate any or all of the things that I've just said?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've always got the new interesting stuff, which is, should I be in a hot sauna? Should I be in an infrared sauna?
Ice bath.
Should I be having an ice bath? And if I'm having an ice bath, why am I doing it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And is it affecting, does it have an impact on me from a longevity perspective? And should that become the next big thing that I buy? And I've now got this ice cold tub out on my balcony that 30 years ago was the hot tub, and now it's
The ice tub.
ice bath, and we're all standing around getting freezing cold, right?
I know,
and
I know.
is that the next best thing that I should be having? Or should we all be jumping on airplanes to Mexico to get stem cell therapy by Dr. Ronaldo in somewhere else?
Buenos
right?
Aires.
Is that what we should be doing?
Yeah.
So it's all of these things, and it's all really, really interesting.
It is all interesting.
But what do you think, Dr. Naras? What?
I was going to say, so what are you doing, Naras? Tell us your general regime.
One thing that's really important is, I think that we do need to think about our body composition, and we need to think about how many calories are we consuming. I think that one's a really big one. As I said, there's been a lot of research, a lot of study on longevity, and of all of the interventions that people have looked and done, from the most simple yeast up to the a primate, will be that how many calories we consume has a massive impact on our health span and our longevity.
Really?
And
Is that
so
right?
that one is enormous, right?
Fantastic.
And
Eat less.
we live in a world of excess.
Yes.
Yes.
We live in a world of excess, and it's costing us. It's costing us our health. It's impacting how our metabolism operates, and we become, as we get older, we have what's called metabolic dysregulation, and that has an impact on our body composition, and we end up with less muscle, more fat. That has huge implications. So one very, very basic thing to look at is our calories.
Yeah.
Am I over-consuming? Have I over-consumed a long time, and am I now paying the price for that?
Right.
How do I get that back? And how do I start working on the long process of correcting something on that front?
Which is not
So
a
I think
simple
that-
journey, which is a complicated journey. But yes, so very important though, important.
Yeah, because I was wondering, do you actually think the secret to the longevity starts way back when you're, in your teens or 20s, so that you're working towards that end goal, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just thinking about it when you do start
40
to
plus
40 plus fabulous.
Yeah. Yes, of course, let's think about it, but we probably should have thought about it when we were 15 plus fabulous. Yeah.
And this is where, so the people that looked at the people that live the longest on the planet, that live in their blue zones, for example.
Yeah, the blue
What's
zones.
interesting is that it is a lifelong event. If you lived in Sardinia,
Yeah.
right? And again, that's not, we don't all want to necessarily migrate to Sardinia, but they will have had, there's a pretty good chance that there wasn't a Starbucks and a McDonald's on every street corner in downtown capital of Sardinia.
I mean,
right?
sadly, they're there now, and the Sardinians are living less long.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, this kind of tells you. So if you didn't know any different, and there you are living in these particular places, having to walk up and down the hills a lot, and that you never know anything different, but walking 14, 15 kilometers a day, and it's normal. And you're eating in a particular manner. And at the end of the day, you sit down with your family, and your grandparents aren't holed up in some retirement village somewhere, and they're actually sitting there engaged. And so surprisingly, you live a longer, healthier life.
Yeah.
You did do it all your life, right? But so yes, of course, it makes a big difference now. It makes a huge difference. So if you're in your 20s and your 30s and your lifestyle patterns are setting you up to not be healthy in your 40s and 50s, then yes, of course, you should be doing something about it sooner rather than later. But if we've all just read or listened to the latest book or done the latest Netflix, and we're all 40 plus and fabulous and going, right, where am I? What do I have to do? It might be I need to unravel a whole lot of things that have been going on for a long, long time. And what are the things that I have in my suite of things is I've got to look at my calories.
Sure.
How do I get this back to the right kind of place? And when that happens, how does my body composition change? What kind of exercise should I be doing? Because the exercise moves the needle to a greater extent than any medication that we take.
Yeah.
Right. So on a simple front, it could be nothing other than those two things. And if they do that, you're changing your trajectory. Your health span is going to improve.
Yeah.
So it's not too late.
It absolutely will. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're healthy in 50 and it doesn't matter if you're really unhealthy in 50 because the trajectory is happening anyway. So how can I change that trajectory? And so I would say that there is no person with whatever level of health or for that matter, whatever level of chronic unhealth that they can't do something to move the needle on both of those fronts.
It's really interesting because, sometimes I think about, when cavemen were around and all of that sort of thing. Like, they had to walk everywhere, obviously.
And to walk to
and they
get
had
the
to kill
food.
their food. They had to forage and do all of that. And then they had to walk back. And then they ate what they could find, and it was plants and, fruits and all that sort of stuff. And, the thing that most horrifies me, I think, about the current fast food phenomenon in society is the drive-through. If that's not the ultimate...
and lazy.
Laziness, just not even making the effort to walk there.
No, it's terrifying.
It just absolutely horrifies me.
Okay, well, it's so true.
Yeah.
So Dr. Lapsys, so diet and exercise, what else?
Let me give you an interesting example. I'm raised in Adelaide, adult life in Sydney, last 5 years in Singapore. Singapore on Live to 100 has just been designated a blue zone.
Oh, okay.
So from a personal side of things, I moved to Singapore and I said goodbye to my car. I said goodbye to my lovely motorbike. I cried. I loved them. I loved my
Was that
toys.
a midlife crisis, Naras?
No, I got rid of the midlife, left it behind me. Moved here because the cost of even having the privilege to own a car, not own it, not pay the tax, but to have a certificate of entitlement is over $100,000, right? So you want to buy the crappiest car, it's still going to cost you $100,000. So there's a big disincentive.
Wow.
Sure.
Wow.
Massive disincentive.
And public transport is cheap, air-conditioned and on time, right? So I now have no choice but to move and to walk more, right? Or buy a car, right?
Yeah.
And so last weekend I met a friend and he said, let's go to this particular food court to have dinner. It was about, honestly, 400 meters away. He has a car. We hopped in the car. It took us 2 times the length to drive there because he said, I'm too lazy to walk.
Wow.
And we would have walked there in a click of a finger, right?
Yes.
But that's Sydney mentality versus Singapore mentality right there and there, okay? And so when it comes to simple things like moving more, there is a world of things that we can do, a world of things. Right. And that can have an impact, a profound impact on our health and can have an impact on our health span and would be one contributor of many into our lifespan.
So tell me a bit more about this blue zone thing. I hadn't heard that expression before. You have.
Yeah.
But what's that all about, the blue zone?
So it was an interesting book based on a lot of research that became, again, a bestseller where they identified pockets in the world, and they were quite different pockets where people were living the longest in a healthy manner. And then they essentially data mined these people to see what is it that they do in order to end up living that way. Some of the things that they found was that they tended to not eat a lot of highly processed food. When they ate animal products, they didn't tend to eat too much of it. Interestingly, most of them were living in relatively remote places, and so it was sort of more simple village life. But one lot were Seventh-day Adventists living in California.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're not wandering around, the highlands of some fabulous, European countryside. What is it that they're doing? They don't eat animal product, right? So they are eating predominantly plant-based food and not subscribing to highly processed American eating patterns, standard American diet, sad, and also had a very strong sense of community. It was a religious-based community, but nevertheless it was community, right? So it's their eating patterns, their exercise patterns, the
social patterns,
their social and psychological health, all working together to ensuring them a longer, healthier life. And then they're not perfect, right? Some of them smoke, some of them drinks, but they're also moving more. And I think that we were able to take leaves out of their book, right, and look to say, because these are different people across different places, so it's not as if it was just their genes, their genetics that were driving this. Yeah. And so the blue zones became a template for things that all of us can do.
Yeah, wow. Well, I love those stories where, you hear about some guy who's lived till 140 in the, Nepal or something.
140, but anyway, yes.
And all he has per day is a couple of packs of ciggies and a bottle of vodka, It's like, I love those stories. They're so random.
And because they're stories, aren't they?
I'm not sure they apply to all of us, but...
No.
That's the outlier.
That's the outlier. That's the genetic freak. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
You seem to be talking a lot about, the amount of food that we eat. Is that a particular thing that you think kind of contributes to aging faster?
Well, it's true. So overconsumption, right? Overconsumption means the body likes the fact that it's got all of this fuel and this calorie, but we certainly, I don't know how many more tens of thousands of years it's going to take before our gene profile switches to that. But our gene profile is not really set up for constant abundance. And so there's a price to pay for that. We're seeing the impact of that price to pay by the fact that most of us have more calories than we need.
Wow. So how do you know how many calories you need?
Well, we can. One good way is you just look at yourselves. We can look at ourselves.
Look in the mirror.
And if we're look in the mirror. Yeah. There's a good start.
Yeah.
What's my body composition?
So when you say composition, what do you mean composition?
Yeah. So
like bones, muscles, fat.
Body fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can do a simple scan called a DEXA scan. Actually, it's good for women who are 40 plus fabulous because it actually is part of you having a bone density scan. So there we go.
A DEXA scan. Never heard of it.
DEXA.
Sounds like a robot.
But we've all got to be careful on that front. Again, as we all get older, men and women, our hormone profile changes. Our muscle mass can fall unless we do something about it. The amount of body fat can increase. And, I remember walking back from the beach around 50 years old, saw my reflection and went, oh, you're a skinny fat.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean, Naras?
Right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that the scales tell you the story.
Yeah, right. Okay?
So it's not just that, right?
Yeah. It's funny because people are obsessed with youth, aren't they? All of the Hollywood who, radically changes their appearance to seem so much younger. It seems like we're almost frightened of getting old and everything that means. But just talking to you, it's like we shouldn't be frightened. It's a natural part of life. But
we're talking about kind of healthy,
young,
healthy young.
How to be, our best possible selves, sort of at any age.
Well, it's healthy aging, it's healthy longevity, and it's a decision that we make.
Actually, when you say it's a decision, I think that's a good word. Actually, I think Naras has used a good word there.
Yeah.
It's a decision. Like you have to actually go, I'm going to be active. I'm going to actively participate in this and in looking after my aging. Yeah.
I'm not going to buy those Krispy Kremes at the airport. Oof.
But we know what's important. Okay, so our talk today was an early start.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So what time did everybody get up, and did any of us do any exercise this morning in advance for sitting on our bums for the next X number of hours?
Yeah.
I'll throw it out. So Dr. Amelia, did you go for a stroll and
I
do something?
watered the plants. So for me, that's actually a bit of a stroll. No. Don't poo-poo it.
Tick
For me,
the
that,
no.
the box.
That's fantastic.
Tick the box.
But
again, this is the thing.
Yeah.
The listeners. Are we sitting on our bums? And do we sit on our bums all day? And if so, what have we done?
It's
and
the new
why didn't
smoking.
we? Why didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I go for an hour's walk every single day. Rain, hail. Once I went in the middle of what was apparently a really severe storm. Like there was storm warnings everywhere. I just ignored it. It was like horizontal rain,
Yeah.
and there was lightning everywhere. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure this is a good idea. But I was out there.
When next heard of, Janet will have been struck by lightning unexpectedly.
Longevity gone.
Yeah. Longevity gone.
But Janet, you did something good, because if you've got this attitude, which is rain, hail or shine, I'm going out.
Love it.
And then somebody says to you, oh, I do my ice bath. You can say, well, I go out in all conditions. Right?
Exactly.
So there's my resilience showing through. I'm doing the natural ice bath, which is.
But here's an interesting thing. I think I'm actually addicted to it, because if I don't
you
do
might
it,
be. You might be.
I feel I feel terrible, and I actually I get really antsy about a particular time of the day, which I'm hardly ever antsy, am I? But and I have to go. I say to my husband, "Okay, I'm going now," and he's like, "Yep, okay, it's that time." Is it possible to get addicted?
It is.
To stuff like that.
But can I just say that I think that we need to release Dr. Lapsys into the wild.
Oh no!
Well, yes, I know he's too good, and we have to have him on again.
Oh. Dr.
Absolutely.
Naras.
But we do need to release him, because he's got other things that he needs to actively walk to.
Yes.
And other people, and he's got a few kind of sit to stand from his chair do before he sees the next person. So
Dr. Naras, we love you long time. See what I did there? But no. But look, we just really hope to see you again, because we love chatting to you, and this has been absolutely fascinating.
It has been great,
Thank you for all of your time today and being on our podcast.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
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 We love chatting, and we really look forward to all of our special guests and to just chatting with you guys. And we'd actually love to hear from you. We'd love you to send us flowers. I'm a dark chocolate person. What about you? You're protein bar for Dr.
I
Amelia.
am. I'm so healthy. It's disgusting.
But, we'd love to know if there's burning issues for you. Contact us on hopepodcast.com.au if there's issues that you'd like us to talk about, or you really want explored, or you think you'd be an expert on. Hit us up and come on the podcast. Come on our journey with us. We look forward to your company.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.